Guys, top tip. It is paramount that the car is properly cleaned before you get your Lake Country Manufacturing polishing pad or your Udo polishing pad from LC Power Tools. The last thing you want to do is get a dirty surface and a pad and abrade the two surfaces together. Crazy. So it is absolutely essential to clean the car properly. So let me show you the process of cleaning a really grimy, dirty car. Stay tuned to follow the transformation. Yeah, I do. Let's start washing the Porsche. So I'm going to go with 3 buckets, wash, rinse, and we won't really be using the wheel one because it's got slave wheels. I'm going to put some G-wash, G-Technic G-wash in there. Now, do I really need a two bucket method? Of course not. I can't really make this worse. This wash is solely to try and get rid of all the grime and dirt out of all these gaps and edges, everywhere that's rotten. I'm going to use all-purpose cleaner, 4-to-1 mix. You can see it's quite strong, and I'm going to use a selection of brushes. Now, I'm actually going to start with this little brush here. I'm going to pre-soak that area. So I'm going to tackle the top of the car first. Now, if you can see, it's very stubborn. I'm going to have to go over it a couple of times. Hopefully you can see the black coming off there. Now, when I'm teaching people, I always say to people, the pupils, go over it 3 times. What you're looking for is the slurry from the water and the all-purpose cleaner mix, not going brown anymore. You can see how black that is, going up and down. So let me wipe that dry. Again, I'm not worried about it, it's making swirls. Doesn't matter, it's so swirly anyway. And it's being corrected. So let's try an experiment. Let's see now if the slurry changes colour. Very slight, but you can see there's a huge difference. So that's telling me that's now clean, the area. That's pretty much clean now. So you can see the dirt there. So don't be afraid to use your fingernails, rub in there with a cloth to really get that last little bit. So let me demo 3 times on something mouldy. So this time I'm going to go to a brush, a bigger brush, a sort of round brush. If I went in there once, so sprayed it and straight on it, that slurry doesn't look that dirty, does it? It's so hard and old, and it needs agitating and keep rubbing. So second time round, it's gone browner, blacker, dirtier. Watch this, third time round. On a normal car, good condition, clean car, I always say 3 times, this is not a normal, clean car. It's still changing colour. But if I was to wipe that dry, there is still the moss down inside, loads of it. So it might be a cocktail stick we need to use, but let's go back to this little, almost like a toothbrush. Now you can actually see the green from the moss and the mildew. You can really see the difference now. So we have different brushes for different purposes. And like I say, I'm probably going to have to go indoors and even pick up a cocktail stick, or I'm going to use a barbecue skewer for this process now. So you can see, look, there's actually more and more slurry coming out each time I rub it. Brush it again. So you can see it'll be 5-6 times over. So what I suggest to do, just carefully thinking of the corners where it's trapped. I'll go back to the little brush. I've lost count now how many times I've gone over this rubber. So this is going to take considerably longer, 3-4 times longer to clean than a car that isn't green and mouldy. Let's give it another rinse. So I'm going to start with the bigger brush. just to spread the product out. You could use a foamer. Some people use a foamer so it stays there longer. It's just a preference really. Both work fine. Now you can see what's happening. This is going to be the third time over just with this brush, and I can see it's actually getting browner. So there we go again. Keep the angle the same, so there's a slight angle away from the glass. Slightly prizes the rubber away from the glass, which helps the product that I was just spraying on the glass run down onto the felt area. And you can see now the black that's coming out. So let's go back to the brush. As I said earlier, this is an absolute nightmare. Again, I'm getting very close to jet wash. This is the way I've adjusted the nozzle. If this was painted, and it's had a really bad area here, edge, and I can see it was painted and it's not keyed up right, I would not go that close to the jet wash, because the danger of possibilities of lifting the edge of paint up are very likely, just because of poor painting. When I've painted cars, not an issue, because we strip down the rubber, take the rubber off, and it's just like factory. So let me see if it'll run down off the door. There you go. And this is what spoils a car, in my opinion. You can have the shiniest paint possible with no swells. But if the rubbers are dirty, it won't look as black. If this is dirty and that's dirty, or it's a dirty edge, it spoils that. It doesn't matter how much polishing you do, these rubbers frame that paint. I could polish this for 20 hours and do 1 hour of cleaning, or I could do 10 hours of cleaning, 10 hours of polishing. The 10 hours of cleaning and 10 hours of polishing would give me a better result than 20 hours of polishing. Now, you could wash the car, because I don't know if you can see where I've done it with the brush and wiped it. You could wash the car first so that there's less chance of me marring the paint doing that. But as I said, this is so swirly and it's in for a correction. It's going to make no difference. So what I do, I draw lines when I wash a car. I don't wash and worry about this, the middle area. Because I can wipe it over a cloth and just get a wet cloth. It's got swirls in it, remember. I can't make it worse. What the problem is you've got to draw around the edges. So what I do when I wash a car, if I move the cloth out of the way, put it over there, I actually draw around the edges like this. And as I'm doing that, I can see grit running off. So I'm going round, I'm drawing round, painting a picture around all the edges I just cleaned. So you better see there, still now, there's grit all coming out of them rubbers. For me, this is the attention to detail. I've got inside the shuts, petrol flap, door shuts, around all the edges. We've got the green, the back bumper down there, we've got all around the badges, we've got inside here where the cooling fins are, we've got the badge there, we've got the third brake light, that's just literally green. I'd be surprised if I get this done before it gets dark. And I'll be able to show you now that there's all this rock hard moss in there. It's going to take a long time. Yep, it's scraping away slowly. So it's wooden, soft wood, so it's going to be not too harmful for glass, but I'm really going to have to slowly break that away, chip it away. So I'm going to keep coming back to that and spraying it, and rubbing it and spraying it while I go around to the next area. So I'm going to start with spray. Careful agitation, let's get the bulk of it away. Spray more chemicals, more all-purpose cleaner. can do it again. I'm going to tackle the badge while I'm here. Very carefully, I don't want to prod too hard. Some cars, the badges might be loose, falling off. It's only normally double-sided tape on. Slow strokes. So I see people doing this, pushing all the way along one way and then back there. That is the cleaning action there. That side to side motion. That is going to do not a lot until it rocks at the end. So if you did this and then back, that's going to be very ineffective compared to a back and forth motion. It's like flossing your teeth. That's a lot better already. Repeat what I just done. See that sort of back and forth motion? That's going to do not a lot. You really want to get under and into the edges of each letter. So now I've got a tackle down in here. I'm going to pre-soak into the grooves. Let that soak in. So, are those fibres going to reach? They are. There's that ducting, I believe, memory serves me well. I've got a feeling. Yep, I thought so. There's an air pipe. If I start flooding tons and tons of water into there, yes, there's drainage in here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to block that hole up. Obviously remembering to remove it before you think about starting it up. Literally just wrap it around, shut it back down, it will seal on top of it. So I think I'm going to have to use a barbecue skewer. Wooden one. I'm going to have to get in there. I bet most people will think we're nuts if this is how you clean a car. Imagine what it's like before we had an LED light, portable light. You couldn't even see this. Do you think I'm mad? Do you think this is normal? See, I keep jet washing. Grit and dirt and moss keeps coming out. Let's check it again. Now we're getting somewhere. That's better. So I'm going to wrap that up, stop that, and then move on to another area. That's definitely horrible, grimy and dirty. Let's spray some products in there. Let's spray the all-purpose cleaner in there. Let's give it, I'm going to pinch together so I get down inside the edge better. Instead of going on the outside, I want to get down in the groove. Spray it again. Repeat the process. It's definitely yucky and gunky. It's going. Obviously this is a lot softer and more flexible than the short sort of toothbrush style. So what I'm doing by squeezing this together, I'm firming up the bristles and also making it rub in the groove instead of being on the outside of the car. Top tip, I've been doing it already. Sometimes it's just a simple microfiber cloth. It's good enough. While wet, notice I'm putting the brushes onto the mat, not on the floor. Just fold a cloth, gently push it down in there and rub it up and down. After you've got all the mud and dirt off, it takes that last little bit out. There you go, a little bit more dirt there. I'll repeat the process. So now I'm going to clean the shuts. Really pre-soak, and it's basically the same process as before. To agitate all the green moss. I'm going to be very, very careful of is the CD multi-changer. Very old-fashioned thing, obviously. Put that there, you don't want to get that soaking wet. Let's pack that with some cloths first. And sort of cover that over there. Try and tuck it in a little bit if I can. Let's go back over. Brush these areas again. It's interesting really how these are no worse than the outside of the car. Normally see a shut much dirtier than the outside because the outside gets regularly washed and people don't wash in this area here. In this case, this car is just as dirty inside the shuts as it is on the outside. So the area around by the carpet, I'm actually going to use just cloths. Right, what will happen is when I shut this down and wash the car and flood it and flood it and flood it, it's going to rinse down in here to remove the residue anyway. So as long as I've got the grime and dirt off, if you see it's coming off there, it'll be perfectly fine. It's coming off. Wipe all the mud off and the dirt and grime. And it made that nice and simple. You can see I'm just working my way around the car. Same procedure. Extremely repetitive, very important. It's much better. So we've been at least 5-10 minutes now waiting for this fallout remover to do its job, and as you can see, it definitely is. Now, in this particular car, I genuinely believe the scratches on this car are far worse than whatever I would do or induced by using a clay cloth on the iron. But it still seems crazy to deliberately know you could be marring and scratching the car more for you to polish out. So I just think it's just acceptable, reasonable to try and remove as much of this iron as possible before you start rubbing the surface. I was basically using, just for reference, this W6. This is actually the way it's turned purple. That's all the iron, and it's dissolving the iron, so it then will be rinsed away. I'm going to pass the jet wash over to Ashley. And I now get warm hands, lovely. So I'm going to do straight lines, very methodical, overlapping motions. Again, it doesn't matter about the swirls, so this is a sort of different wash technique really. Now I am actually going to now use, that's what I like, my fingers on top, I'm wrapping it around that edge. I'm going to go back into the rinse bucket, let that rinse out a bit, and then back in there. And again, I'm not going to just walk straight away because I'm going to let most of that water run back before I go back up there. There's enough water in the wash mitt. Anything that's running on the floor is just wastage. So in the rinse, into the soap. We've put soap in the rinse as well. Just means that you've always got lovely suds on your wash mitt. See how I've got that held? It's really easy for me to turn the other side, go back over. Now it's a clean side that I'm washing the surface twice. Once with one face, and as that picks up most of the dirt, I then flip it and turn to the other side, which is fresh and clean. And it's the same thing again. I've washed it. It's a bit dirty. It's actually very dirty. That side's clean. So I'm going to flip it again. Wash that area again. It's not so dirty. That's dirtier. Rinse it. Repeat the process. So this is nearly the end of the wash process. What I suggest is now I have already pre-cleaned these. Yesterday I ran out of daylight and it was raining, freezing cold, so actually I stopped. It was dark. I'm just going to go around the edges now, bottoms of the doors. There. Well, I can see it's dirtier. I'm just going to go around with the wash mitt. I think we're done. So now, it's another day. Because it got dark. Where's your gloves? You don't need them, okay. All right then, so right, we're gonna do the roof. Whoa. Go all over the camera. So it's the same as before, where I'm gonna put all-purpose cleaner, but it's a alkalinic or alkaline all-purpose cleaner. I'm going to flood the surface, really wet it down. And then we're going to repeat the process. What we're looking for is when the water or the slurry, the runoff, goes dirty and when it stops going dirty. So when I first rub, you can see how Ashley's doing this, lots and lots of circular motions. You'll see this water colour changing. Obviously this bristle's cautious off the edge there, but it is the edges is where the moss, the mould and the dirt sits. So we do have to think about working on the edges more. Some hoods we clean in about half an hour to 40 minutes. And some can take 3-4 hours, depending on how dirty they are. Remember I said about the bristles? You want them to go like a toothbrush. Now this roof didn't actually look that dirty compared to the rest of the car, which tells me that the hard top is on the car for a long period of time. Not that dirty, is it? I'm going to put some more product on. Have you got the spray bottle?
Stole it.
I'm going mad. Now again, the only one benefit of it being freezing cold, as this runs down the car, the possibilities of the chances of the chemical staining the surface are very, very low, extremely low. As much as it's horrible washing a car in the cold, this would be a whole new matter, complexities, if now I'll be worrying about it staining the glass, staining all down the car. No, I don't have to worry here at all, because it's bloody freezing. If you had a really dirty roof, and it was the edges and gaps which are worse, which it commonly is, this is where I suggest you get a little brush like this and start going down in that gap, that groove. That's commonly where obviously all the dirt and grime lay and sit. I don't think that's going to need a lot more scrubbing, personally. Ugh, my hands are so cold. So you're still on hot water at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the hot water off now because that's going to run through for a while. Make sure the nozzle is set wide, long distance. Don't want to get too close to the nozzle because you can cut lines into the fabric. So now I actually drive the car up and down the yard to dry the brakes out, just to clean the pads up, clean the discs up. I don't want to detail the car, put all the coated wheels on, and then you've got this week, car sat there for a week with rusty brakes. Customer drives away, first time he brakes, he gets all the iron. I can hear the brakes grinding now. I'll go back up again. Jay's waiting to move another car outside, so we're going to swap around. Brakes are starting to work now. Actually starting to get some bite. Big mistake of a lot of people do around the world is wash their car on their driveway or in the outside the garage and just park the car away without driving it, because they think I don't want to go for a drive, because if I go for a drive I'm going to get my car dirty again. And then the rust, the corrosion on the brake surface, the disc surface, is more aggressive than the actual brake pads. What happens is the brake pads don't clean up the rust like you hope to. What happens is it starts damaging the brake pads. The rusty surface gets worse and worse, and your brake efficiency deteriorates, and you end up with damaged brakes just because you've been washing your car, your pride and joy, and not drying the brakes out, removing all the water. He's guiding me. I'm now going to leave the car running to dry out the engine bay. Also, it's not a good thing to have the engine stop start. You get what's called tap-ips, tapping the hydraulic lifters on older cars. They start sounding horrible and rough. It's nice to circulate the oil round. What Ashley's done is lined me up in the middle of the ramp. So I'm in the middle of the ramp. So we're central, this way and all straight, so we can then lift the car up. So I'm gonna leave it running for a little while. And actually this is a good time to then half open the roof to clean down in this shut area here. I'd never advise anyone to half open their roof and then turn the engine off. What happens is the hydraulics relax and the roof starts to move, and now it's lost position on its position sensors. So I'm going to lift the roof up partially. Yeah, that gets access to this grubby, dirty area all along in here, along in there. Do you know what? I might go with alcohol. Because of all the chemicals we've been using, they've run down in here. So as you can see, there's a little bit of alcohol. It's helping clean that surface very, very quickly. Remember to do the rubber. Mop up all this dirty slurry which is in there. I'm going to wipe this edge down as well. It's going to be all grimy. There you go. Look at that. You done, Ash? I think it's good enough. So I'll put the roof back in its normal position and the windows back up so that it can all dry out. Engine's been running long enough. It's nice and warm now. Sounding sweet. I'm going to actually take the handbrake off because I want to be able to roll it to position the lifting blocks underneath to lift it from the ramp. Right, it's tea break time. A cup of tea, an English cup of tea.